technology, thorium salt reactors, and so I think that conversation needs to be had, but people are so reactive in today's day and age, right? That they don't want to have that conversation. No one wants a nuclear reactor in their backyard, but a thorium salt reactor could fit in your backyard and power your entire neighborhood
I,
and boil maple syrup while you're at it.
I totally have a small nuclear. Like if I get a small modular reactor in my backyard and have the government like not come after me for it, I'd do it. I know, maybe weird, but I mean, I also like not that I like totally understand this stuff, but I've read it enough where I'm like, oh, actually, this is pretty safe. It has, ways of stopping the reaction that are mechanical and not electronic, so they're automatic. As soon as they click over a certain threshold, it drops the rods in and stops the reaction. So like there's cool stuff that's going on a small scale. And just kind of overall on like the nuclear technology thing too. Like the big misunderstanding is how much waste is produced, how dangerous previous accidents were, what the long-term consequences are. I remember I was in Berlin in 2011. I was a student over there at the time when the Fukushima thing happened, right?
Okay.
And immediately
that
after
was a
that,
big deal, right?
it was a big deal, right? And particularly in Germany, because Germany was they had a lot of nuclear power at the time, and they want to be carbon free, and nuclear power is a great way to produce, electricity without huge carbon output at scale, right? In a way that
Right.
solar and wind have a little bit more trouble with. No, not bashing them all the way. I won't trash talk it too much yet.
Okay. No,
But
listen, I am gonna advocate for solar power right now. But I want everyone to know that again, like I think I want to emphasize that the fears about nuclear power appear to me, and I read a lot of stuff and I check out a lot of issues. Like the fears from nuclear power seem to be overblown, and we're missing out on transitioning away from fossil fuels if that's in fact the case.
right, exactly. So yeah, get back to the Berlin thing. Right after the Fukushima thing happened, there's all these protests that happen all around Berlin. When I was visiting other cities and in Germany too, there's this whole nuclear nine Danke thing going on, right? And they're like, oh, we can't do nuclear anymore. So they started decommissioning all of their nuclear plants after that. But immediately following that, they realized that they weren't capable of scaling up their solar and wind power sufficiently to provide all of Germany's electricity needs, all their power needs. So what did they do? They went back to coal. Air pollution went up. Their carbon output went up by like an enormous amount over the last 10 years because they moved away from nuclear, because they're so freaked out by the Fukushima thing where literally no one died from
Yeah.
radiation.
What are we talking about? Like as far as we should have some readily available data on the downsides of what parts of Japan were destroyed by the Fukushima thing, not by the tidal wave, because that's an entirely different issue, right? The disaster of Fukushima was caused by a tidal wave, right? But the tidal wave did massive amounts of destruction all over the, I think, northern part of Japan. But what was the problems created by the nuclear power plants getting, wrecked by the tidal wave? What happened?
And to be honest, it was pretty small. There wasn't all the contamination was contained. The workers were exposed to a bit of radiation, but like long term, it seems like they are fine. They actually, the more dangerous thing is when they had to move medically vulnerable people because they're worried about the nuclear power plant causing bigger problems, is that people ended up dying because of that. But like the long term
Right.
consequences, there's no like, I know people are like, oh my goodness, there's radiation or like uranium in the ocean now. Like, guys, there's already uranium in the ocean. Like it's just there.
It's there. I mean, uranium is in a lot of places, all over upstate New York, central New York. There's uranium radon kind of stuff going on, where people install mitigation for basically radon, a gas that's released by decaying nuclear products. There's ways to mitigate it, and so I think that we have to present these things. And guys like you and I have this obligation because our brains are less reactive than everyone else's, Kevin. It's a natural thing. Some people are just simply less reactive, and we have to somehow find a way to share that ability to be less reactive with the rest of humanity, right? Because when people are protesting nuclear power, because a tidal wave took out a nuclear power plant without even knowing. And then the government response to that panic by decommissioning and raising carbon output, we have an agreement, even if I don't necessarily think global warming is as bad as they're saying. We have an agreement that man-made carbon output could be decreased. It will increase the quality of life. So let's go with that. Let's figure that out, and let's travel down that road safely, non-reactively, and how do we spread that message to people, Kevin? Besides this radio show, how do we convince people that to be less reactive?
I mean, it's about educating people and getting people to understand what's happening, right? Like, getting particularly, like, I find like a lot of conservatives are generally pro-nuclear power, like usually not for like a global warming reason, but just because, like, again, it provides power at scale. But the lefties, the environmentalists, a lot of times they're the ones who like are at issue here. They want to invest all this money in solar and wind, which is like fine, but like those aren't the only solutions. Those aren't scalable everywhere, right? And they can't provide like reliable power in some situations, right? And again, I'm not anti those things. I'm just saying like nuclear power is a bit more reliable. So what ends up happening is if you shun nuclear power, you go back to natural gas and coal because those tend to be more reliable in rough situations.
Yeah, so for those of you out there joining us on WACK and WNY today, Generation 4 nuclear, pop it into Google, check out thorium salt reactors. It should be the wave of the future, and I think we need to take a look at that.
Absolutely. All right, so thanks again for joining us here on A Free Solution. Kevin Wilson, your host today, joined by Tim O'Connor by phone today, and we're going to get to some comments online too. I see your comment, Doreen. We'll read that when we come back in just a few minutes.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at Simple Tech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
The Finger Lakes Castle team is in its 7th decade of factory direct service to the service professional. From cleaning the ins and outs of your vehicle to keeping you on the road, Castle's got you covered. Castle makes streak-proof glass cleaner, FDA-registered sanitizers, and EPA-registered hospital-grade disinfectants. Remember, when you need to keep it clean, use what the pros use. Castle. Accept no substitutes.
Castle keeps it clean.
A message from the National Police Association. It used to be that any able-bodied person would offer to assist a police officer in danger. Now, passers-by are more likely to take a video. There's a better use for your phone when an officer's in trouble. Call 911. Tell the operator where you are and what you see. Then, start your video to provide evidence later. To learn more about how you can assist law enforcement, visit nationalpolice.org. That's nationalpolice.org.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to Simple Tech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that Simple Tech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at Simple Tech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at Simple Tech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
A free solution.
All right, welcome back to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host here today, joined by co-host Tim O'Connor. We're talking power today. Yeah. But like actual electricity, not the political power, not just the political power that we're normally talking about. We're talking about electrical power today. We're talking about nuclear, we're talking about educating people about different forms of power too. And we did get a comment from Doreen too. It says we need to advocate for these large dairy farms to have methane digesters and electric generation. Genification. Oh, no. I'm not familiar with genification, but generation.
Yeah, well, I can tell you a little bit about the methane systems. It's a technology that exists, right? And basically, you have cows. One of the big complaints about cows is that they generate a lot of methane. Methane actually can be burned to produce electricity and heat, right? So it's a lot like propane. It needs to be a little bit processed before it can actually be used. But the systems are the technologies available to collect methane and power a farm, and that is a great idea. It kills two birds with one stone. Methane's a pretty naturally occurring. We all produce some methane. I just want to be clear about that. But cows have a tendency, obviously, because they're accumulated in one spot to produce pockets of methane. So we can take that methane, harvest it, and use it to power a farm, use it to probably power something larger than a farm, little communities and stuff like that. I think it's a great idea, and one more way of efficiently and, decentralizing these issues with power distribution. I think methane is a decent product. Basically, there's almost a pushback against cows because they produce methane, and I guess almost isn't the right word. There's a pushback against cows because of how much methane they produce. And while again, I'll go to those concerns in my mind are somewhat overblown, this is still a good way for the world to move forward. Efficient use of our natural resources, and methane is available all over the place.
Yeah, why not? And well, a couple points on that too, right? Like, so methane is like, in terms of like what a greenhouse gas actually is, methane is actually way more intense about keeping heat in the atmosphere than carbon dioxide is. So that's one thing to consider. You don't want to release a bunch, but if you're burning the methane and converting that to heat and energy and water and CO2, well, that's less impactful on the environment, right? And Doreen points out methane can be captured by solid waste too, right? So you get these waste digesters and a whole bunch of different stuff put together. You generate some biogas from that, and you're able to burn it, which is interestingly enough how a lot of streets used to be lit, but it was with human waste and methane.
Yeah, well, I think that may be what Doreen's referring to, because populated urban areas have systems where human waste gets collected, put into big tanks, digested. That process itself gives off a pretty fair amount of methane. You could collect it there as well. So yeah, and we used to heat. I like your point about using methane and converting it to carbon dioxide, because carbon dioxide is less of a greenhouse gas than methane is. And so all of that stuff makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. Use up the most you can. And again, like, to me, like, I'm not, and I'm going to get to a comment from Ken Williams here in a second, but, I'm not like an anti-carbon zealot. Like, I get like using oil, using carbon-based sources of energy has brought enormous wealth to mankind. There's so much energy concentration in that stuff,
Right.
Let's use everything that we can. Again, I think nuclear is part of that, solar is part of that. That's great. Let's like cleaner, more efficient forms of fuel and continue to advance mankind, but don't use public policy to limit our potential or worse, cut off the potential of developing nations who are going to be reliant on carbon intense energy for a while as they continue to develop to heat their homes, to power their cities. Don't cut that off, because that traps people in poverty. We need to continue using those while we can, and then leap to the next thing, which again, I think nuclear is part of that, and a whole bunch of other stuff is part of that too.
So, yeah, when I was traveling down that Generation 4 nuclear wormhole, and I know, let's get to Ken's comment in just a second. I want to talk about in developing countries in Indonesia and Africa, right? They have boats parked a few miles offshore with nuclear reactors on them, powering development in areas along the coastline. So it's being used. It's just not being used as effectively in the United States because of our reactionary nature. But it's being used throughout the world right now. This Gen 4 nuclear stuff that we were talking about.
Yeah, I mean, and that's gonna be really cool as it continues to develop. But like in other places, like it was that like the thorium salt reactors. Is that what that was?
I believe it is, yeah.
And they have some of those,
like you said, it's automatic mechanical. If it hits a certain tolerance, it automatically shuts off. Drops a rod right out of the reacting salt. Done. Shuts off. Yeah. It's over. It's
so you can't get the
mechanism.
Go ahead.
Sorry, what?
Oh, it's hard to get like some of the meltdown type of stuff that was caused by mistakes and bad testing. People always want to bring up Chernobyl and whatnot, in terms of like, right. Like all this nuclear power, but like half of that was like a stupid test that wasn't communicated, and the other half of that was communists trying to like save face and not be embarrassed, and lose political power. So they made the situation so much worse because their political system is worse. It's not because the technology itself is bad. I mean, they had flaws in their technology, but that wasn't the main issue there.
That's one of the things I hate about communism, really. Like, there's so much to hate about it, but you can't trust the political messaging that comes out of the power structure in communist countries. You can never trust it. You've never been able to trust it. And guess what, guys? You still can't trust it. We can't trust Vladimir Putin to give us better messaging than even Joe Biden, as much as we may not like him, or maybe some of us do, and that's fine. But we can't trust Vladimir Putin more than we trust Joe Biden or anybody.
Or President Xi, over in China, like that. Yeah. Which we've talked about, like the Wuhan lab leak stuff and all that. All right, so let me get to his comment, because I know he's been sitting there for a while. Ken says, green lies far more dangerous to mankind. Al Gore, scientists, they had man was heading for extinction if we didn't stop burning fossil fuel. And he's saying like it saved the earth. Fact check this. All right. And Ken, I kind of like made that point in a sense that, like being able to access the high energy density of fossil fuels has led to massive leaps in advancement for us.
Absolutely.
And that's great.
Absolutely.
And acknowledging that, I think is an important part of our history and technological advancement. Again, I would love to see batteries get to a place where like they have the energy density to be able to replace fossil fuels so we can have electric planes. That would be very cool. We're not there yet, but right. I think most of us would agree being able to fly places is still pretty great. It's useful for a whole bunch of reasons. But the green zealots who are like, no, we have to stop doing that type of stuff. We have to, but because like the Extinction Rebellion type of folks who want to shut down like any sort of technological advancement, right. and kind of freeze us in time. No, right. We can't. It's not tenable.
It's not tenable, and it would be no fun for our kids, bro. Let's be honest. Their life would stay the same and actually travel backwards from where ours has. And I enjoy the technological advancements that I've experienced in my life, So I do want to talk about this Bread Alone project that I'm on, guys. It's a solar panel project. Bread Alone is down in Ulster County. Bread Alone is this huge 5-location operation, and they make organic bread, and they have a great menu to go along with their bread, and it's just a fantastic operation. Bread Alone is famous in my area. It's probably famous almost all the way out to your area, Kevin. But what they're doing is trying to go carbon neutral. They have a big facility that they're building, and we're putting solar panels on their roof. Now, I don't have any problem with private businesses putting up solar panels wherever they want to, as long as, it fits the zoning, which, God, don't even get me started on zoning, guys. But as long as it fits, the atmosphere that they're trying to work with. What do you think about that?
I mean, that's great. Like if business wants to do that, again, it's not a big government project. It's not, again, like my worry about solar generally isn't people putting it on their homes, because I would absolutely get solar panels on my home, get a battery, try to be like independent of the grid if I could. I think that's great, and that's an awesome thing to do. My worry is when solar tries to be built at scale in places like very cloudy upstate New York, that it can't provide by itself enough energy to power our cities reliably with the amount of land space that would require. We'd end up having to tear down a bunch of forests to make it work. I have a problem with it on the whole, just I don't think it could work at the scale they want. All right, so we got to go to break, though. Thanks again for joining us here on A Free Solution. We're going to be back, me and Tim, in a few minutes. Talk to you soon.
Fly the flag, stand for freedom.
WYSL.
AM 1040 Avon Rochester, FM 92.1 Rochester, and FM 95.5 Spencerport.
Here's the latest forecast from the News 10 NBC Weather Center for tonight. We'll have partly cloudy skies, a bit of a cool late summer night. We'll drop into the low 50s. Sometimes might hit the upper 40s tonight. But at least the breeze will settle down and we'll be dry out there. Saturday, we'll have morning sun, then afternoon clouds. Could be a shower Saturday night, high low 70s. Some showers look likely on Sunday in the low 70s. I'm Rich Cadelia, WYSL.
At Victor Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, Anthony Drive off Route 96 in Victor, legendary savings and selection are waiting for you. Like the 21 Jeep Gladiator Crew Cab Sport 4x4 pickup, $369 a month for 42 months. A 21 Jeep Grand Cherokee Freedom Edition 4x4 is just $269 a month for 36 months. Requires existing Grand Cherokee lease and be returning lessee. The 2020 Jeep Renegade Latitude 4x4 is only $199 a month for 36 months. Must have Stellantis loyalty and be returning lessee. The 21 Ram 1500 Classic Warlock Quad Cab 4x4 pickup is just $189 a month for 36 months. Must have Stellantis loyalty and be returning lessee. Use 3 Ram coupons while supply lasts. Jeep, America's iconic 4-wheel drive brand. $2,500 cash or trade and other conditions apply. Get full details from the dealer. Equipment and MSRP vary by model. We're here to fully serve Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram customers in Victor, Canandaigua, Macedon, Fairport, and throughout the Metro and Finger Lakes. Get out of the house and get that new ride you've been wanting. Victor Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, 6560 Anthony Drive in Victor.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at Simple Tech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovation should be your first call. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
Open Door is a great place because it helps you with your whole self. It's not just about the addiction. For me, it's been just getting in touch with that little boy who never really grew up. I don't feel like I have to save him anymore. I can just let him live. I don't have to be afraid. And I can't think of anywhere else I would want to be to do that. It's safe. It's challenging, but it works.
Go to opendoormission.com.
When you feel sick for whatever reason, don't wait to get help. Noise Health Urgent Care now offers telemedicine appointments using your device to meet with a provider face-to-face from the comfort of your home. Call 585-243-9595 to schedule an appointment. Noise Health Urgent Care is open from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. 7 days a week, even weekends and holidays. Walk-ins welcome at our Geneseo location, 50 East South Street. Digital X-ray available too. Noise Health Urgent Care. Your health care, your way.
The Finger Lakes Castle team is in its 7th decade of factory direct service to the service professional. From cleaning the ins and outs of your vehicle to keeping you on the road, Castle's got you covered. Castle makes streak-proof glass cleaner, FDA-registered sanitizers, and EPA-registered hospital-grade disinfectants. Remember, when you need to keep it clean, use what the pros use. Castle. Accept no substitutes.
Castle keeps it clean.
True financial health requires a holistic approach, a hallmark of Whitney & Company since its founding in 1975. Investment management is the main focus, plus guidance with retirement planning, maximizing Social Security benefits, Medicare questions, insurance evaluation, and more to help chart your financial path. Whitney & Company, an independent registered investment advisor, fee-based, focused for you and your family, and never product sales. Whitney & Company, like a family friend in finance. 232-6200. Visit whitneyandcompany.com.
Justin, listen to Brooke.
Hey Justin, let's go to the Lima Crossroads Festival. All the rides are free, all the music's free. The bed races are a scream to watch too.
Are you sure it's free? Free seems hard to believe.
It is free because the Lima area businesses donate the money to keep the festival free. And that leaves you more money to spend on me.
Justin, the festival is July 28th to August 1st.
Okay, you're always right. You can't be free.
See limafest.org for all the details. Come to the Crossroads. It's a breath of fresh air.
A free solution.
All right, welcome back to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host here today, joined by co-host Tim O'Connor, who is on the phone with us, I think.
You
are, right?
Yeah,
okay,
I'm here
good.
from beautiful Boyceville, New York. It's a wonderful thing. And hey, I want to give a shout out to our mutual friend, Larry Sharp, who also does this show with us on Tuesdays. He's been doing this intimate little gig on Thursday nights instead of doing his live broadcast on Facebook. He's been occupying space on Spotify in what's called the Green Room app on Spotify. And we spent a good hour last night hashing out all of this Olympic controversy. I don't know if you want to travel down into that today, but
you're gonna pull the pin on that grenade, huh? All right, go ahead. No, we're there. We're done. We're doing it.
There. Well, it seems to be that the Olympics have just co-opted the wokeness culture, and we're handing out gold medals for being offended or upset anymore. I don't know. You think that's too broad of a general? Am I painting with too broad of a brush when I say that?
I think if they handed out gold medals about who got the most offended and upset, it would be really, really tough between progressives and conservatives. I don't know. Everyone's triggered. It's y'all a bunch of whiners. Sorry.
I think that's a good statement. Now, I don't think they were going to reach people by calling them whiners, but I think at some point,
I know. I'm being a little bit mean, guys.
Yeah, but I think it's also fair, Kevin. I'm not knocking you. I want to reach those people with open arms in a way, right? I want them all to say, you know what would be better? Slightly less government and slightly less reaction to everything. Less force-filled guidance of our emotion by the mainstream media. I think all of those things would be great. But take a look at the Olympics, man. It used to be the pinnacle of athletic success, and that's who we revered and respected. And now we're talking about people who are having Simone Biles, right? She's kind of had a temper tantrum. There's two issues with her. One, she didn't compete because she's having mental health issues, and two, she couldn't get scored fairly because she's literally too good. So two things happened in there. Like how do we reconcile that, and how do we craft a message to the world about that?
So like with that whole situation, yeah, I think she is in a tough situation. Like if you were in the Olympics and like you apparently got told that like you're going to be graded on a different curve than everyone else because you're too good, like, man, that's got to be incredibly frustrating. And then if you're in a bad headspace doing a team thing, trying to make the decision, like, and this is me being like really generous to her, but trying to make the decision to like, if you're in a bad enough headspace, you think it's going to hurt the whole team to pull yourself out is tough. Again, but I do get frustrated with like, well, if you're in a bad headspace, you're having a bad mental health day, like I would like to see like, well, what comes next, right? And I get that she's a person who needs to figure that stuff out, but like, when we think about the Olympics, we think of people overcoming that stuff. And, and so I hope that Simone Biles has a great comeback from this moment.
Yeah, but her opportunity to come back is 4 years away, right? So much can happen in 4 years. We don't even, I feel bad for her. I do like to point out when we talk about the Olympics that my understanding of history dictates that the Olympics were part of the ancient Greek civilization, where they transitioned from warring states to a nation state system. And instead of celebrating, basically butchering each other, they celebrated peak athletic performance. And so at the very heart of our civilization, going back thousands of years, is this notion that competing in sports is better than killing each other. And that's one of the things that I will always love about the Olympics.
Certainly think it's a nice idea. Those high-minded ideals, right? Not always working out perfectly, obviously, but that the high-minded ideals, like you can compete on this level. I mean, it's funny because you talked about how the Olympics getting taken over by woke culture. Part of what I've heard about this is people are getting frustrated with nationalism there, and not wanting to celebrate the nation state and all the flag worship and all that stuff at the Olympics. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, I'm a libertarian for sure, through and through, but there is a piece of me that buys into the notion of American exceptionalism, and that is going to offend some libertarians. It's going to offend a lot of progressives, but a lot of conservatives are going to kind of agree with me. But I do like the fact that the U.S. was born of a constitution, that the U.S. was born of rejecting taxation without representation, which we could, as a libertarian, I'm like, no, just reject taxation. We'll come up with other ways, to finance these projects, these programs, So I do kind of really want to argue for the concept of American exceptionalism and how we've come so far so fast, freeing ourselves from an oppressive monarchy. That's I guess where I want to go with that. What do you think?
No, heck yeah. I agree with you. I did my nice 4th of July rants, earlier this month, right? Where I talked about that stuff. I still think that that's worth celebrating in a lot of ways. And I do get, again, I'm not really big on nationalism, but I do get a lot of frustrated where people start talking about the American flag and oh, well, that only represents the negative stuff about America, and there's nothing redeeming about it. That's nonsense. And you're not looking at the entirety of history. You're only focusing on the negative aspects and not the huge advancements for human liberty that have been unique to the United States that I think are still worth calling out and celebrating in their own right too. You can take the good with the bad.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I mean, have we made mistakes? Sure. What mistakes have we made? One of the biggest ones is occasionally, and all too often, I guess I should say, we grant the government itself too much power to make decisions for everyday life. And now we look at the government as a redress to safety. Individual safety has become the government's primary focus. And I don't think that serves our community very well. I'm a big fan of them communicating information appropriately and telling us when and what to be cautious about. But when they start answering every nanny kind of question, that's where I get really frustrated. And that's how we grant them too much power. And when the government has too much power, that's when the bad things happen. That's when the bad things have happened in history, right? Anything you want to look at where we want to complain about a horrible event, it in fact almost always goes to the government granting certain people too much power. Does that make sense?
No, Tim, it does make sense. Well, at least to me, right? I don't know if I don't know if everyone's going to agree with you. And some people are like, yeah, no, we gotta get the government to fix everything. It's great. And listen, I don't dislike you. I still love you guys. The people who think that way, you're just super wrong, and you're hurting people because of it. So you need to get with Tim on this and figure out that giving too much power.
Every law you make is a tool for someone who doesn't like you when they get in power, okay? So when I see Trump make an executive order and I see Biden making executive orders and I saw Obama stepping up the pace, all of these guys throughout time here, going back to George Bush, have stepped up the pace of making executive orders. That is centralization. That's centralization of power. And honestly, that terrifies me more than anything else. We have a complacent legislature who doesn't push back against these executive orders fast enough, hard enough, or strong enough ever. And so we're not having a rational societal debate anymore. We're hoping our leader gives us what we want and signals our virtue and punishes people who don't share exactly the same ideals as we do.
Yeah. And if you're hoping that like you're going to win that election every time and that your leader is going to be the one doing stuff, well, yeah, you're in for a bad time. I mean, we're libertarians, so like we're always in for a bad time. And that's why we don't want anyone to do this. But you know, like you don't want to give all that power to someone and like hope like, oh well, they're going to use it for good, because you got to remember, next person, they might not use it for good. They might do bad stuff with it if you concentrate too much power on one person. And not even concentrating too much power on one person, because there's this false idea that like, oh, if we have the right person doing that, if we have our philosopher king in office, you know, they will guide us well. No. It's the power itself that's dangerous, that's corrupting. You need to decentralize that, not let anyone have that at all. Let people govern their own lives.
You know, I'm with you, man. And sometimes a lazy monarchy is better than an active democracy. Let's be honest, right? Like when we are battling over certain issues in our society, I want the government to be lazier about it. You know, there's so much that they try to do, so many virtue questions that they answer, that to me is it's empowering the media to keep us divided as well.
Yeah, the government doesn't need to weigh in on every single problem in society. All right, thanks again for joining us here on A Free Solution. Tim O'Connor and I will be back for one more segment here on WYSL and on WACK. Shout out the line to you guys, too. One more segment here, and I don't think we're going to do Fake News Friday, but probably Weird News Friday. That's what I got. All right, so we'll be back in just a few minutes.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to SimpleTech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that SimpleTech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at SimpleTech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at SimpleTech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
Hi, my name is Ryan Bourne.
And I'm Danica Bourne.
And we're the owners of South Coast Tax. We would like to thank our Lord for protecting us from evil. Psalm 91 states, "He is my refuge and my fortress, for he will rescue us from every trap and protect us from deadly disease."
South Coast Tax are Christian-based tax accountants and attorneys who specialize in releasing bank levies, wage garnishments, and filing complex tax returns. We are the leaders in acceptance of offers and compromise with awesome results.
We are also a small firm who will treat you like family and not just a number.
Call us today at 1-800-TAX-1176 for a free consultation, and we'll take the time to explain all of the programs that you qualify for in order to allow you a fresh start.
In John 8:36, so if the Son sets you free, you will be free indeed. And one way we can achieve that is by being debt-free. So let us help you today. Call us at 1-800-TAX-1176, and together we can help achieve this goal by putting the IRS tax debt behind you for good. Again, that number is 1-800-TAX-1176.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at Simple Tech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovation should be your first call. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
A free solution.
All right, welcome back to A Free Solution. It's not quite fake news. I only have like one like sort of old fake news item, and then a bunch of like weird stuff that I thought would just be fun to talk about. And I don't know if you have any fake news things, Tim, but
Being on the job site has kind of hindered my ability to prep for this, but I do want everyone to know that I am broadcasting live on WYSL and WHCK from the front seat of my 2012 Ford Taurus. The miracles of modern technology never cease to amaze me.
yeah, no, that it is pretty amazing that you're able to do that. What a world!
What a world
From your
we
Ford
live in,
Taurus.
and what a world we're heading into for our kids. If we can kind of help everybody chill out and enjoy each other better, I think that's our goal here. That's my life mission, if I have one, which I always wonder if I actually have one. You know.
Yeah, sure. I mean, you're on the radio show. You're being able to promote this stuff. Why not?
Why
You
not,
better figure
right?
out our mission quick. You got a platform, Tim.
I know. Well, one of my missions is to just share this, hopefully moving towards a less reactive society and recognizing that the government, the media, and the duopolistic two-party system has definitely created some problems, and maybe more problems than it's solved.
Yeah, exactly. Totally agree. Well, all right. So I don't really got fake news today, but I have weird news. You ever follow like any of the corporate Twitter accounts? You just like brand name Twitter accounts?
I usually block them because they put up some annoying tweets. So
yeah, they put up.
I saw some stuff from Steakum that I thought was funny, and I saw some stuff from, I want to say it was Oreo Cookies, that they did some funny stuff. What do you got?
Yeah, no, I was going to talk about the Steakum ones because they have put out another beefy thread. This isn't like an ad for them. I really don't like Steakums. I think they're super gross. Sorry, but I do like their Twitter account. So like kudos to their social media manager for doing that. They put out this like nice long thread about like building up civil trust and like faith in institutions and misinformation. And so it's like 14 tweet thread. And it ends with like, I'll just quote the tweet here. You can maintain healthy levels of skepticism while also extending trust where it's earned by empirical evidence and expertise. Use critical thinking. Work towards solutions with one another. And remember, this whole thread was an ad, so please buy our frozen meat. Steak and bless.
I just want to point out that that's coming from Steakum, right?
Steakum,
and
yeah.
While you can make a delicious make pretend Philly cheesesteak sandwich with Steakums, it's a processed meat. It's not real steak. It's a processed kind of deal. Like, isn't that like exactly where we're at, right? With Steakums lecturing us on how to have faith in institutions when in fact they're kind of a fake meat product. And guys, I'm only saying this.
Tim, that's not true. I read about it today. They had a lawsuit about this. It is real meat. It's just all the scraps mashed together into a really thin thing and then frozen. So technically real meat.
It's actually real meat. Okay. Real meat stuff like hot dogs. And guys, I'll eat a hot dog every once in a while, but I don't base my whole diet on hot dogs because I know exactly where that stuff comes from. Let's be honest, right?
I've eaten like hot dogs like 3 times this week. I know.
Nice.
I love Zweigels. I'm not ashamed of it. Eating a bunch
I
of
don't
them
blame
this
you.
week. I know it's terrible. I know it's terrible, but yeah, no, it like quality of the meat aside, which again, I don't particularly like steakums. I just think that it's funny as that, you know, like this is like sort of what I do for a living, right? Like I manage social media accounts. I build ads and everything, right? And if I could find some way to like just use that as a platform to talk about like my political beliefs all the time, that would be great. But I don't think I could sell them on it. So,
well,
but
I mean,
someone
maybe
is though. Like, great, good for them.
Yeah. It feels like it's worth a try, Kevin. Maybe that's why one of my life missions is to convince those people that you work for that a more libertarian form of messaging would, in fact, sell their product and sell liberty at the same time.
Yeah, right. I just got to find a like right hook for that. I haven't found it yet, but if I can do Steakum style rants, Steakum inspired rants onto another brand. That'd be great. I don't know how I'm gonna do it though.
Yeah, well, and let me just ask this, just out of curiosity, you and the folks at the station. My messaging is in fact for sale. So if Steakums wants to advertise on this show, I'm here for them. I can change it around about it being an efficiency issue and using. Anyway, sorry.
I say I got nothing wrong with the process. I just don't like it. It's not my thing. Or maybe my mom, wonderful woman that she was, just wasn't cooking them that well. I don't know. No, I'm probably just started fighting words there.
Yeah, my wife makes a mean Philly cheesesteak sandwich with Steakums. I'm not even kidding you. It's absolutely delicious. It's hilarious. It's fun. We do it maybe once or twice a year, but it's really good. And so I don't know. I'll definitely eat Steakum, but I don't want. I'm not sure they should be lecturing me on morality. I just don't think that's right.
If they're, I will judge them by the content of their tweets. It's good. More on the content of their tweets than the content of their meats.
Oh, I like that. That was a good one. That rhymed pretty well.
There we go. Yeah, I love when things come together like that. But no, I'm like it's legitimately a good thread. So I posted on my Kevin Wilson Libertarian page, which we're now broadcasting on because I got it fixed like partway into the first segment. But it's worth reading. It's worth thinking about. It's worth thinking about things like because they criticize science as a political term, and they point out that like the process of it isn't politicized, but like science, and we see that in things like the CDC nowadays too. Like even the CDC and then some of the Democrats, they say like, oh well, the science says this, you got to trust the science, whatever. Like science isn't like any singular thing. It is a process and a search for truth. And we got one side that says basically it's an old South Park joke where they're all going around saying praise science.
That's where we're at though, brother. That's our life reality right now, that science, the government uses the word science like dogmatic religious nuts used to use whatever words they use. We're not getting, science is constantly evolving, science is constantly being challenged. For a hypothesis to turn into a thesis or a theory, you have to either disprove it or it has to be completely repeatable over and over again. And we haven't quite gotten there with a lot of the issues. And when we just say dismiss someone's critique or skepticism as anti-science, that's actually part of the problem, because science is constantly questioning, constantly evolving, and constantly trying to steer us towards a more efficient, effective truth. It isn't just, here's the science, that's the end of it.
Yeah, the science is settled, and do that on, tying it back to the beginning of the show, they do it on global warming stuff. The science is settled. Okay, well, no, that's not how science works, guys. That's not how the process works. And again, if you're going to challenge like what the consensus is, you need to, come in with like some evidence and some actual factual information. I don't have to take everyone who says they don't believe the quote science seriously, but you also, if they come in with an actual challenge that's legitimate, you got to have those discussions, not settled. And to say it is to be doing politics and not science itself.
Right. We're running out of time to make fun of Cuomo, Kevin. I don't know. This guy has been.
Well, you got like 30 seconds. Go.
Oh,
How much?
Honestly, if I get started in 30 seconds, I'll talk right through the end of the show, and I'm pretty sure the station producer has yelled at me for that before.
See, now the music's playing now. You can't do it. All right, we're gonna have to make fun of Cuomo sometime next week. We'll figure it out. All right, thanks again for joining us here on A Free Solution. We are out of time for the day. Thanks so much for joining us. Have a wonderful weekend.